Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Assistant Secretary Fee, for being here with us today. All of us here know that you deal with a portfolio that is difficult and troubling, which is a gross understatement, I suspect, but you deal with it. It's unfortunate you're here today alone without the support of representatives from USAID and the Department of Defense. It is a difficult task to address all these issues in the Sahel without these perspectives, but here we are. There are concerning trends, much of which has been outlined by the chairman here in the last few minutes, that we're witnessing in the region and the wider continent. A decline in democracy, challenges in U.S. diplomatic engagement, both bilaterally and multilaterally, and the effectiveness of our regional policy, if a clear one exists, including our incentives and deterrence, some of which have been outlined by the chairman this morning. Global events have accelerated these changes, including Russia's war in Ukraine, interference from countries like China, Russia, and Iran, and the COVID-19 pandemic. We have had 7 coups in Africa, 7 coups during the years of the Biden administration. Things aren't working. The ongoing significant changes in the Sahel and West Africa affect our national security and that of our regional and global allies. The primary threat is Islamic terrorism. Large parts of Mali and Burkina Faso are controlled by groups linked to al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, and terrorist groups are expanding their attacks on governments and populations in many countries. In countries such as Mali, the presence of Wagner's mercenary is particularly concerning. This group is known for severe human rights abuses, spreading false information, and unjustly taking local resources. Since Prigozhin's demise, Wagner's activities in Mali have become a more significant threat to the United States national security, boosting the Russian state capacity for harmful global operations while providing questionable security gains in return. Many Sahel and Western African governments are unstable and lack public support. In areas controlled by military juntas, citizens' opinions are wholly ignored, and the government merely enforces military orders. The remaining democracies in the region struggle to meet the needs of their expanding youth populations, often fall short in combating corruption, and cannot handle security and economic challenges independently. But that's not the whole story. These challenges make it difficult for Africa to prepare for upcoming threats like coups, terrorist attacks, election issues, or food crisis, and not the least of which is their burgeoning population over the next decades. Secretary Fee, the last time you spoke to this committee about the administration's Sahel policy, you highlighted a 5-year interagency strategy designed to address the region's challenges and better the lives of its people. You mentioned in your written testimony that this strategy would adapt to significant changes in context. However, given what has occurred in the Sahel and West Africa over the past 14 months, that strategy clearly isn't working. I believe the fundamental assumptions and approach require significant revision. The Department must prioritize resources for the region and strengthen our diplomacy. When supporting our African partners in implementing regional solutions, we should lead, not merely be an active bystander. The leadership includes coordinating with our European allies as well. We've seen the Department demonstrate it can prioritize in times of crisis, like in Ukraine and most recently in Israel. We must similarly prioritize the crises unfolding in the Sahel and West Africa, or we're going to continue to face the consequences. Finally, I'm concerned about the administration's unclear policy on Sudan. I've asked President Biden to appoint a special envoy for Sudan. Given the many issues you and the Africa Bureau handle, we need a seasoned diplomat singularly devoted to Sudan to steer U.S. policy, assist the Sudanese people, coordinate with regional partners, and handle complex diplomacy to stabilize the nation and foster genuine democracy. I also encourage the Department to move quickly to make an official determination about the ongoing atrocities in Darfur and other areas of the country. Such a designation will go a long way in making clear to the world where we stand on the killings and human rights abuses occurring in Sudan. Again, I fully recognize that dealing with the issues in the region is a heavy lift. I hope you can point out ways in which Congress can help you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, thank